everyone, welcome to the About Podcast. This is episode 6, and with us today is our dear friend, producer, fellow musician, everything music extraordinaire, Sven-Erik Seaholm.
That's right.
Welcome.
I would call you a friend. I would say we don't have to keep you closer. We can just keep you close.
Okay.
You qualify.
All right, then.
If you're in San Diego and you're listening to this podcast and you have anything to do with music, you already know Sven. He's a multi-award-winning producer and musician, independent producer, independent artist. He's a contributor to the San Diego Troubadour. What else?
Recording
magazine. Yeah.
Some things.
Several
Also
things.
a singer-songwriter in his own right.
I know now all the things she said to me were bullshit with a cinnamon. Just telling me anything I want to hear, write it down in poison pen. 'Cause baby, I'm getting my sexy on, I'm hanging low but feeling strong. I got no other place to be but in familiar company. You know what I mean?
I'll push it later.
Push it later. Look it later. He also has produced 22 Kings albums, so he's worked with Sandi. He produced my solo album, so he worked with me and my band and Sandi on that as well. And it's just been around forever, and I looked over at Davy and I just kept talking. He hasn't produced you.
No, he
Yeah.
hasn't. I would not. I would not aspire to
I have
such
worked
an
with you
honor.
in the
sir.
studio.
That's
Yeah.
right. Actually, Sven
So-
and I. What's fantastic is that up until like a year and a half ago, I think if somebody was like, "Hey, David Ryan Norgren," you'd be like, "Oh yeah, the rapper. He's dope. Like, he's pretty baller." I don't think you knew me as anything but like
that's right.
a rap comedian
and
or
then
something.
you showed up with like a stand-up bass one day in a session, and I was like, "Are you here to rap? Whose bass is that?"
I just need
he's so
fodder.
nice that he's carrying in this stand-up bass.
No, it's props. I
Here's
do
the
prop
dude,
raps. Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
He just carries a stand-up bass around to make himself feel
yeah.
smaller.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And this is cool because we're doing this episode right before we go into rehearsal. My birthday show is coming up, and we just had Wayne in our last episode, and my birthday show is, well, will have been in the past by the time this episode comes out. It will have been 2 days ago,
Wow.
on the 29th.
I feel so old at some
And
Yeah.
You're old news.
I'm just a 2 days headband.
did you say had been?
Ben?
2 days ago
awesome.
had been when we played. I don't know.
So we are having a handful of guest artists. Actually, really, most of the people doing tunes are in our band, but we're having Sven on too, so it's going to be great to have him on stage with us. And
Extremely honored and very excited.
Oh, very,
the
very much
musicians
likewise.
that played on the album are the same ones for the show, right?
well, Josh. I mean,
Uh-huh.
the sound is the same. We have Josh. We don't have a drummer, so Shane's not down, and then Davy's on bass now.
Okay. So it's still
It's
great.
the same.
Yeah.
It's the live band. Well, and Davy played at the
the
CD
release.
release, so you've heard him with
Right.
our stuff.
So it's going to be
Same.
just to be able to play with people that are of that caliber was where I was headed.
Oh man,
I'm just
very much likewise. I'm
I
very
was
excited.
headed that way.
and I derailed.
You had been heading that way.
2 days old had been heading that way.
Had been, right. So anyway, yeah, I'm really excited about it for all those reasons.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
What are you going as? Are you aware that it has become a Halloween
Did
thing
all
now
the
too?
blood just leave my face just now? Because that's my costume. I'm the guy
That's
that
fantastic.
found out there's going to be costumes. I'm going to go as that guy, pale and puzzled.
Should we talk in the past tense about the?
And it's pretty well.
It'd be
That's
fun.
how I would have went.
That's how I would have went.
Had
Nice.
had
That
it
was well.
been
That was very
2
well
days
done.
ago.
I feel like with all of our podcasting, we should continue to treat it like the timeless gems that they're going to be.
Yeah.
Tense is not
Right.
it's not a thing we need to adhere
far
to.
distant
And
future.
that's a literary rule, right? A character always does something in the present in a book. They never did something. Right?
I quit.
It's like this weird grammatical thing when you describe what happens in the plot of a work of literature, you don't describe it in the past
Josh's
tense.
mic cable's the orange one, and that's the mute button there.
Okay.
Cool. Just
Yeah.
so you
Never
know where it
mind.
is, I just
Never
want you to see
mind.
that my finger is on it.
Okay.
Okay. You gonna stop?
But I have to keep pushing it and unpushing it.
That was really good.
That was good. So and then I picked another song from another album just because I thought that group of people would sound good playing that kind of song. So I really kind of put the stuff together kind of as a fan of my own thing. Oh, I would like to hear this through this filter kind of thing.
That's cool.
such a cool concept.
Yeah.
Actually.
'Cause we're all animals, baby. But this is something else. We're all animals, baby. But this is not right. We're all animals. But this is love. Well, you need to know
It's kind of cool.
That's
a little
really
fun.
fun to look at other musicians that are going to be playing with you as a
Yeah.
fan. Look at your selection of your own songs as a fan of theirs. That was
Yeah.
such a weird roundabout.
Well, when you're a fan of yourself like I am,
Right.
as big a fan of myself as I am, I mean, really. I'm the president of my own fan club in all the chapters around the world.
You typically sweep the Sven Awards every year,
Oh,
don't
yeah.
you? You take home.
The Svennies.
Go on.
He's got like
Svennies?
45 Svennies.
He does, man.
Sony's. I like it.
Just the most self-indulgent acceptance speeches too.
Right? I wish I had time to thank everybody, but I'll thank most of them right now.
And then it's songs from the record playing you off as well.
So I just start dancing to it. This is cool. They really like me.
Was that a callback to
Sally Field.
Sally Field there? Well, and we just saw you at Music Box. Mm-hmm. That was a Catherine Beeks thing, right?
Yeah,
Was that- yeah.
It was
Some
the
local
All
show.
Access Festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
That was cool.
Those are cool.
Yeah, that was a fun place. I really
And you did. I know you
Amazing
did some.
stage.
At least some of those tunes you did were from the Sexy. I recognized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we opened with like a brand new one, but yeah, we mostly
Oh, that's
played.
right.
Because that group of musicians that I've been playing with, we don't have a name. We had a name and we got rid of it.
What was it?
was it?
You can't.
It was called Sven-Erik Seaholm in his sexy outfit.
That's fantastic.
That is so good.
Right, but there's a girl in the band and she felt odd.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, she
Okay.
can't be part of the sexy
So
outfit.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to push it.
You don't want to make people
Who's
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But
Who
real good or
was
otherwise.
in the sexy outfit?
I love the double entendre.
Charlie Loach played guitar.
Okay.
Wolfgang Grasskamp played plays keys. They're both all playing. Roger Friend on the drums. He's a great percussionist and drummer. And Kelly Bowen on bass.
Yeah.
Nice.
And Eddie Croft,
Croft
playing,
was there, yeah.
playing sax.
Yeah.
Excuse me, yeah.
Rad.
Which is it's been really fun. I really like playing with the baritone sax and stuff.
Oh
So-
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we had a Barry sax in our band, I would rehearse with him constantly so that we're always playing the exact same thing. I think the coolest sound in the world is like like 50s rock
right.
where the bari sax just doubles the bass the whole time.
Yeah, it's a great
it's so
like,
good. That
ripping kind of sound.
Oh, I love it.
I just thought of the guy at our UTC show, baritone saxophone.
Oh Lord. That was a character.
He was a character.
Yeah.
He wanted to make very clear that he played the baritone saxophone.
And the motion he made when he played it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very.
It was animated.
That'll be posted on the site too.
All
Yeah.
We are going to have Sandi doing that.
Okay. Sounds good.
Make a list. Keep a list going, because afterwards you're gonna.
Sandy
You know,
sax dance. Make sure I spell it right.
Saxy dance.
Saxy outfit.
Yes. And
I want to know what your favorite people to work with. I mean, like all of the albums that you've done.
really, yeah.
What are the most memorable?
I would have to preface it that way because
Right.
because I often end up. I catch myself saying this, and I feel very, verbiage is whatever, but blessed, I think is a good word for it, in that most of the people that I've worked with, and I mean like 97%, maybe 98% of the people that I've worked with through my whole career have been just really cool people to be with and around, and every one of those projects, if it didn't start with a friendship, it ends up with one.
Yeah.
And I have all these friends like Josh and I are a great example of that, or Dave and I, or Sandi and I. We're the three of us, individually and collectively, have a friendship that was kind of fostered through kind of meeting each other through music,
Right.
really, and then kind of afterwards going, that was really a cool experience, and
That's
we should
funny.
hang
It's-
out some more.
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that a prerequisite when you sign on to a big project? No, I mean for real. I would imagine there's got to be a part of that. Like if Josh said, "I want you to produce 12 tracks,"
Yeah, well,
Before you sign- I mean, that's months
I
of
think
work.
if you got a really bad feeling about somebody, like in some way or another, maybe you wouldn't. But most of the time, I think you just take the gig because this is what we do, and frankly, I got to pay the rent. I have and that's why I said blessed, in that it ended up that these people were all great people. Michael Tiernan,
That which paints the sky, come fill me with your night. Empty desert bliss, just come give me a kiss. Because I'm ready. You know I'm
Peter Bolin, these are all like best friends of mine that started off as either clients or peers, out musically, but we ended up working together kind of thing. Jesse LaMonica we talked about.
keep open your heart for me. Always cliche, broken heart on the floor. We are so much more. I'm falling over myself to show you. We are so much more than this. It's raining possible.
Some of my favorite people in the world I met just because I was trying to pay rent. So I do really feel very fortunate. Did I answer
That's
the
awesome.
question?
Actually, you know what? Can I expand on my question just a little
That
bit?
was the preface, actually. Though.
No, that's great. This is a really cool road to travel down here with Mr. Sven. So with the topic of prereqs, is there anything that
Yeah,
you need to hear a demo? I'd imagine, right?
Yeah.
Is there ever a no?
And I knew that was coming. It was like, and yes, I have said no, and it was really hard to say no at the time that I said no. But there comes a point where you can kind of sense in either the way somebody is expressing something or communicating themselves that there might be a disconnect somewhere between what they want and what you can, realistically deliver. Mm-hmm. So sometimes people have unreal expectations based upon a really, inflated sense of self because they need that to do what they do, and it's not a criticism at all. Everybody has varying. We all have an ego that we obey to some extent to do all these things in service of it, and forego things that other people have, and we go, oh, I wish I had that. Well, yeah, but I'm an artist, so
yeah, right. But I've got all these Svennies though. Yeah, I've got this whole mantle full of Svennies. That's what I value.
Well, it's a winning streak with me.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So you were asking. Originally the question was, who are some of my favorite people I work with,
or most memorable experiences throughout your career?
God.
Honestly,
I think one of my most memorable experiences in the studio, the one I always come back to because I remember in the moment. Looking over at my partner, and she and I kind of knowing, like, this is it. This is what this is all about. This is why we put up with our house being invaded by people, and you know what I mean? It's like this thing. And and that day was one of the last days of, I did several albums with an artist who left us 10 years ago now, Buddy Blue.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the songs that he had was called Lady Mekong. And Mekong is a rice rum that they make in Thailand, and it's a very controlled liquor. Not as far as because it's very strong alcohol-wise, but it's just so hard to get a lot of it that they only let people have like a couple bottles of it, and that's it, kind of thing. Unless you are some sort of importer, and then you can. So we had a mutual friend, or I had a friend through Buddy, really, who had a Thai restaurant, and we would visit him, and he would just. Blast us out with this Mekong stuff, but especially Buddy. And Buddy had a history, whole years of history with this drink and this guy way before I became involved. But Buddy ended up making the song called Lady Mekong to this drink, And I wish I could cue that up right now so you can hear the song, because the song is so funny.
Now Thailand is a humble little Southeast Asian land, but they got a secret weapon that could bring down any man. She's smooth and sweet and tempting.
He decided during the recording of this album process that he really needed it to sound authentic, even though he had like a big band. He kind of had a big band. He had a horn section. He had a featured female vocalist. He had kind of like a real, show band kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they were doing this song that was all the gongs and it and stuff. But it had a great hook to it too. So, and he sings this lament about all these things that happened to this guy who due to Lady Mekong.
That's amazing.
And so he decided it was missing something, and I don't know how we came upon it over some Mekong and Thai food, but we came up with the idea of having all of this whole family that ran this restaurant and did everything in it to come to my house and party in the background.
That's awesome.
So that we
Obviously.
could get authentic Thai partying, so that the stuff that they were yelling to each other was in Thai. It wasn't but we were trying to act like it was here's the real deal.
It's very important to note too that this was before field recording would have been at all possible, right? Like you couldn't have possibly just gone somewhere else to record that. You had to invite them all to your house.
Right. So I told him it was kind of like part of the birth of me being what do they call? Oh, a method producer like Sean Penn. He becomes the guy that, you know, if he stutters everywhere he goes for like a year or whatever. And it was kind of the same thing. I had to like get in there, and there's pictures of the session where you can just see my shirt's all wet from all this Mekong that's been spilled down the front of it, and everybody else is just we're sweaty and hammered and smiling.
That was a really great use of that's been spilled down the front of it. Way to not take responsibility.
Yeah. Somebody spilled this down the front of my shirt.
Somebody peed my pants. My pants have been peed.
Wah, wah. So but in the middle of that, all that, just the total ridiculousness and at the same time joyfulness of the fact. I mean, they were so happy. They drove down from Orange County, you know, jumped out of the thing with like a case of beer and I don't know a case of this, you know, rum, and it was just on, and the microphones were up, and it was just hysterically funny, and at the same time, kind of, you know, they did it out of like love for Buddy. They loved Buddy so much, and they wanted to, anything you want. Well, yeah, man, we'll get in the car, we'll drive to San Diego, and you know, so it's just great.
That's
just the
amazing.
whole thing was just wonderful about it. So I do remember that, but as far as events in the studio that I'll always remember, that's definitely at the top of my
great.
list.
That's
really
fantastic.
cool.
And he must have been, he must have left a real mark on a lot of people, because I know there's still tribute shows to him. Aren't
yeah,
there? Our
yeah.
friend PJ, who was a previous podcast guest, played guitar
Oh, that's really cool.
on a tribute show.
Yeah, they had
really awesome.
they performed some tribute stuff not too long ago, and Dave Alvin from the Blasters
Nice.
came down and played and stuff, and that was he's done that before with him too. And during one of Buddy's albums, Dave Alvin actually came and played like dobro and different guitar and stuff on the album, and in between they were just sitting on the ground, just jamming, passing guitars back and forth and playing music. And I recorded that stuff, and that ended up being little segues on the album between
that's
songs
awesome.
and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Those guys were really, really cool together.
Nice.
So what's the worst experience ever? And I'm right here, so you can say it.
That question.
Worst experience ever? I was recording something at a outdoor event, and I had made this crazy plan of miking everything on stage and trying to capture it out front just on like a 2-track DAT recorder, just a digital recorder, but just left and
Live
right,
mixing everything.
Live mix, right? And it was like a Java Joe's telethon. He was doing at that point he was in Poway still, and he was doing a telethon every year to raise money for muscular dystrophy. And so here this band is playing, and I can remember 2 of the members of the band, and I just had his name. It just came. But Isaac Chung was one of them.
Oh, he's the worst.
And I think that they were playing and they were recording, and it was a hot day, and I looked over at the stage, and one of the guys comes up to the mic in the middle of like a solo, and he says, and you can hear it on the recording, that's why I remember it. He says, "Hey Sven, is there supposed to be smoke coming out of the PA?"
That's amazing.
And as he says PA, like the word A goes A on the recording, because the PA just lit on fire. And these guys are like, "What should we do? Like, should we call a fireman or the sound man, or is he even doing anything mixing wise because he's recording this?" But they just I was the only face they recognized right then. So,
Right. Hey,
so-
yeah. That's really. Oh yeah.
If the answer
Yeah.
had been no, it's fine. It's supposed to be smoking. Like, what do they expect the answer to be?
yes. Well, if it's a Kiss show, possibly. yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's actually the warmest show I've ever been to. It was a Kiss show. They had so many pyrotechnics,
Oh, yeah.
flames coming out. Flames
Oh,
were
yeah.
coming out of like the speakers.
Man,
Wow.
how did they deal with that night after night? That's crazy.
I don't know. I always kind of figured they'd have like the 50-50 bar look of Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sandy's famous best and worst question.
I love it.
It is a good question.
Really good.
Don't judge me.
I'm not judging you.
Sounds
I've
like
noticed.
you're judging me.
It does sound like I'm judging.
We're gonna start cutting down the Sandy question segment.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be like Sandy's best and worst, and then she's gonna go best, and you're gonna answer with you get 3 words, and then worst 3 words.
Oh, okay.
I'm okay with
And
that.
then
That's a
again,
great idea.
Sandy's best and worst.
That's so rad.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Only
happening.
if you sing the.
Well, it's gonna
just-
be.
it's
yeah,
just
I'll
you
sing
doing
I'll
that.
sing lead.
Sandy's best and worst.
Best?
Buddy Blue,
Worst.
the Spirit Club.
Sandy's best and worst.
So, worst gig? I can tell you worst
Oh,
gig.
okay.
Worst gig was I was playing at the Spirit Club, which is now Brick by Brick. But the Spirit Club at the time was like, that was, if you played original music and you had like any kind of a rock or, edge to your thing where you needed to play over a PA, that was where you were going to play eventually. You're going to play at the Spirit Club. So, and we played there several times and did, we're doing well. And one day we were playing and having a really good, gig. And we used to jump out into the audience and just jump. That place had a high stage too, so jump off the stage into the audience. So, and it was at this one point in this one song where we used to do that. So we're playing the song. And recently installed at the Spirit at that point were monitors for the stage so the musicians can hear themselves, but which are usually mounted on the ground. And you jump over them, or maybe if you're really rock star cool, you put your foot on
Exactly.
it. Right? And run Bono out.
It's the only way to bend a note after a certain point.
Well, they had put theirs on the top of the stage. So when I jumped to jump off the stage, my head clipped the monitor and put my body completely horizontal
No.
to the ceiling, which I saw. And then I saw it kind of drop away as I fell straight to the ground. Blam! In the middle of the crowd, which got out of the way. Just like if you dropped a ball into ants or something and they all scattered out of the way. That's what happened. Everybody scattered away and blam!
Holy
so
shit.
I just kept playing on my back, and played it all off. And it was it was fine. I was okay.
Okay.
What a professional moment.
If that happened now, I'd be out in a stretcher for sure. But
You'd still finish the song.
yeah,
but then
I'd
they
still
would have
finish.
just.
I'd be playing as they carried me out in a stretcher. But this particular thing, I just played off the end and got back up and was about to say something about the next song. And right before I do, there's this just nanosecond of total silence, and someone goes, "How's your head?" To which the entire crowd goes, "Wah! Wah!" And I was like, wow, there's a lot more people here than I thought. They're all laughing at me right now, and that
Right.
sucks hard.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, that was my worst rock star moment
Is
right
it the
there.
same stage that's there?
Yeah. How about current projects?
Oh yeah.
How about current projects?
How
Well,
about
I was
current
telling you guys what I was
projects?
doing this week. I was I
Which
was
is pretty cool.
performing faux Santana compositions for an educational project. And the previous month I did more of a Quincy Jones kind of thing. So I'm kind of doing all these different sorts of music in the style of different artists as part of a educational book that this guy's developing. So that's about as much as I can say about it. But I've been doing a lot of that lately, and it's really fun. And I do a lot of different things, in service of that task.
Yeah.
Playing and composing and recording. So I'm like, I'm exercising all my muscle groups. It's fun.
I don't know.
That's
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's not to self-promote too much, but to self-promote too much. I was saying to you earlier, Sven, that that was my job for a while. Mine and PJ's worked at a publishing company, and if you listen to my first record, it's totally it's very obvious that that's what my career was at the time, because every song is I'd be I'd be creating some like dubstep thing, and then I'd be like, oh, I think I enjoy producing this kind of music. So then there's a song on the album that's just like, as one does.
I was going to say, I think, I don't know if you'd agree with this, but one of the fun things about being a musician is that the work rhythms shift so much. Even just being a gigging touring music, even just that part of it.
Sure.
You've got like phases you go through where you're doing more writing than other things, and then phases when you're in the woodshed, and then phases when you're marketing for a tour, and then you're on tour, and then you're recording an album. There's like all these, you have these normal everyday rhythms that are somewhat similar, but only when you're in that phase, and then across the year that shifts. That must be part of that too, is if you're doing totally different projects, you're producing, you're doing your own music, that's kind of a fun part of it.
Putting your finger in a lot of stylistic kind of pies is kind of
the Joshua Taylor style.
Well, it's hard.
Did you say Joshua Taylor pie?
I should have.
That's better.
Joshua Taylor Pie is my next album name.
Because I think we found you a band name.
That's right.
But it's cool because it's hard to get bored, because you're never doing the same thing for very long before you're doing something totally different.
And that's also part of that whole thing where I was saying how lucky I am. I've always try to approach it as it's all music.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, I've been open to a lot of different kinds of things, and therefore been exposed to a lot of different kinds of things.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's one of the richest things about music, is that there's just so much of it. It's not just one kind. I mean, there's so many kinds of it. So, when you start to think of it, it's so exponential.
I love that.
I feel so small right now.
Yeah.
The voice we started to do.
I started to pan out.
We can totally cut this out if it doesn't work, but I'm tempted to wax nostalgic now too, because I'm 33 and just made my first record last year with you, Sven, and what an amazing, awesome experience it is. I think when you go in, I imagine this to be the case for anyone, I hope, who goes into the studio with a real connection to the music they've written, not just, well, it's time to make a record, or people are telling me I should but when you go in with a real need to get something out and a real desire to do it, and you connect, like you said, sometimes energetically, that is a luck thing. If you're saying yes to gigs because you that's what we do, it's lucky when energetically something clicks. And when we made my record, I felt exactly right away that something was working on an organic level.
Yeah, and I think I even may have mentioned it at the time too, that I was like, wow, this, I've done a lot of projects, and really it felt immediately different. It felt like, wow.
Hello sun, hello sky, hello to a new day. Lazy bird, flying high, fishing on the bay. Hello to the merchants down at Seaport Village, fish and chips and fried clams. Hello there, guitar man, selling CDs by the mic stand to tourists on the weekend. Walk on by with my lady by my side, just wasting time, feeling so fine.
I recently saw they did like a theatrical re-release for like one showing of Young Frankenstein. And before it, Mel Brooks was talking like in a live stream, and he was saying that he, in his whole career, and that's a pretty storied career with a lot of great stuff in it, he said there was only one time where he had like such a magic kind of group of people that, you know, that cast was like, it couldn't have been any different, and, you know, it had to be those people to make that kind of, you know, that energy and come out with this certain thing from it that has a very unique tone and a look. And, you know, I mean, when you think of it, we all laughed at just the title Young Frankenstein, because we know it's so funny. And just in the same way, musically, that group of people felt like a magic group of people. Like that drummer, that bass player, that keyboard player, Josh in there. It was like, every time somebody said 1, 2, 3, 4, the next thing that happened was like great music.
Yeah. It's an amazing
every
record.
time.
It was a pretty incredible experience. I think too, one of the things that I liked from that my ear now is drawn to, I think it probably always has been, but I pay more attention to it now, is I like records for lots of different reasons, but personally I love records that have a live feeling to them, even studio records. There's something really magical that I think happens when you put a handful of people, even if there's overdubs and other things that are added later, but when you put a handful of people in the same space, creating music at the same time, and I think some of that too goes back to the aesthetic of, I love the early jazz cuts. I love, you know, the stuff that was several amazing players around like one microphone or something, doing something in a room, and they would take, you know, 5 or 6 whacks at it, and the best one is that's what you got on the record. Right. And I think that's kind of a cool experience to have had, to go like, oh, this is still in 2015 at the time, very possible. Yeah. And still comes out so well when it's done right. Right. Yeah. But one of the things I was going to say about you was that it also takes I think it takes a certain kind of producer to get a record like that to come out well. You have to have a mentor, coach, attitude where you're the only thing you're focused on is putting the right energy into the room to make everyone feel as comfortable and ready to just be themselves as they can be. Yeah. And that's what it takes to nurture a record like that.
Yeah, I think it's easier to let things happen than to try to get things to happen. Yeah. You know? Yeah. That can be a little harder to do. Quincy Jones, who I mentioned earlier, has a great quote. He goes, you know, it's called letting God walk through the room. He basically has the best engineer on it, you know, the best mics, the best everything, that as far as the signal chain goes, you know, he has the very best there. He has the best environment set up for everybody. Everybody has everything they need, so that there's nothing to think about except the moment. Right. You know, and so that when that moment comes, you know, you've allowed it to happen. It's really, you know, rather than you made it happen, you just allowed it to happen.
You're almost getting stuff out of the way. Right.
Yeah. Right. You know, it already exists. They just haven't started playing yet. Yeah. You know. Yeah. That's really how that music felt. Yeah. Coming out of it, the musicians, I really felt it that way.
That's cool.
So, also one of my favorite projects. By the way.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're gonna have to put a link to Sven actually wrote some really nice things in the Troubadour about the making of that record.
That's right.
You should link up.
Yes.
So many links.
The networking.
So many links.
The internets.
The webs.
The interwebs.
All right. My self-indulgent moment is over, but that was...
No.
Yeah.
Very...
It's cool. Yeah. Well, you know, all right. So I think this is a neat thing. When you go through something, I used to think, I mean, I still do. I have a lot of friends from the Naval Academy and from the military in general, that you go through something that's very transformative with a group of people, whatever anyone's version of that was. For me, that was a big part of mine. You go through something really transformative and unique with a unique set of people, and you're bonded to them in a certain way. And for me, the record was like that. It was that powerful. It was like the first moment when I felt like, oh, I'm really a musician and this is really happening. And look at these other people breathing life into something that I started out as something I wrote, and it was this little thing in my room.
Yeah, you see it.
And now
kind
it lives.
Yeah, you see it kind of sprout new limbs.
Yeah.
And just kind of get bigger and take on new forms. And it's,
and it continues.
Yeah, right.
It does,
evolves.
yeah.
That was my next,
So, hey, artists out there, we know a few. We have some friends.
Just a few.
Who play a lot live and do a lot of gigs and have talent and haven't made a record. Make a record as soon as you can, honestly. As soon as you have material that you believe in and you think like, I can get this together, I can make it happen. You don't need to drop 30 grand and and spend a year on it. Get in somewhere and just get it out. Get it out of you, because it's powerful.
And it's not like, it always happens that way, that it just falls out of you.
Right.
But at the same time, it's in writing songs or in making records, I kind of had the same philosophy all the way through, which is you sort of kind of let everything just sort of flow at the outset, and then when it's in a different moment or different space, you can kind of take a more crafty approach to it and more methodical, rather than editing yourself in the moment.
Right.
You're not going, oh, that won't work, I should do this. You just do it both ways in the moment, and then later on go, okay, that's the right way, make that decision, and then go on from there.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's a philosophy of mine that it seems to be the only way that I can work. I'm going to speak musician language for a second here, but a lot of times I'll have a melody and lyrics in mind, and then what my brain first tells me to harmonize, it's usually something like 1-4-5. It's just a very simple progression, but I love not fighting that. I love writing the song and then go back through and think like, would it be interesting if the second verse was reharmonized this way?
Yeah.
And then you start thinking about like, what could I do to make this more interesting?
Exactly, yeah.
Instead of being like, oh, this is just a 1-4-5.
Right.
Yeah. You just don't get on yourself that way.
Right. Exactly.
Later on you do. You get the whip out and really you do terrible things to yourself.
I do.
But and great music comes out of that, I think. I really do. I feel like that's a really good, just I think as creating as an artist, whether you're a writer or a musician or whatever your media.
Man, I think we're all very much that way. And a fun escape that we've found is so there's a radio station in town, KSON, and they have this thing called Write a Tune Tuesday, which we frequent. We're doing one
next week, which
Tuesday?
will be
last week.
Yeah.
It happened 2 days and a week ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago. It will be. It will have happened before the incident.
You know what it is.
Whatever time is marked as.
It will be BI.
Right, exactly. But it's so people actually call in. You go into the radio station. It's all live. People call in. They give you topics, and you have 40 minutes or something to write a 90-second song, and you have to do it. And, in 40 minutes, you're playing 90 seconds of something.
Right.
So all these stupid, like, that's the lamest rhyme. You just have to be like, fuck
Whatever.
it. Okay,
Right. Exactly.
People love it.
It is a great exercise because it
fun to
teaches,
do.
if nothing else, it helps you to assure yourself like, oh, I can come up with something that works. And some of them, the one we did for 4th of July was... I don't want to say awesome, like, and sound. It was so fun.
I saw that you guys on that episode, and it was cool.
Home of the brave, land of the free, home of the Statue of Liberty, home of the amber waves of grain, home of apostrophe everything. Apostrophe M, apostrophe, is everyone apostrophe-feeling patriotic with me?
Apostrophe R, apostrophe I. It's the land where I was born, and it's where I will die.
Apostrophe C, apostrophe A. Million reasons why America is A-apostrophe K. Okay.
First, I love a hot dog and a cold can of beer.
Second place just ain't enough around here.
Third, I love the holidays I get off all year. 4th of July.
Apostrophe M, apostrophe. Is everyone apostrophe patriotic with me?
Apostrophe R, apostrophe I. It's the land where I was born and it's where I will die.
Apostrophe C, apostrophe A. Million reasons why America is A apostrophe K. Apostrophe key change.
Apostrophe M, apostrophe. Is everyone apostrophe patriotic with me?
Apostrophe R, apostrophe I. It's the land where I was born and it's where I will die.
Apostrophe C, apostrophe A. Million reasons why America is A apostrophe K.
America.
Happy 4th of July.
Apostrophe.
But that's a neat way of getting. Maybe that's a good exercise too to try. Songwriters at home is to give yourself 1 hour to write a 90-second song.
Well, that's like the game,
game,
that,
yeah.
that Catherine
Yeah.
Weeks does, and I think that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But sometimes it is when you have 40 minutes
yeah,
as opposed
squeeze
to
it
like
even
3
shorter.
weeks.
Yeah,
Right.
It makes you even,
Yeah.
it forces you even.
See, I need that
harder to do that.
accountability too. The performance of it is what I need, or I'll never let go of it. If I just say I'm going to write a song today,
right.
there's.
right.
But if I tell 1,000 people, "Hey guys, I'm going to play a song for you today,"
You're
it's going
a
to be
guest
about
and you're a guest
Insert.
on a radio show. Like you have to,
Right.
You know, even if you give yourself a stopwatch at home, it's probably harder to hold yourself accountable.
Oh,
Because if
definitely.
an hour comes, you're like, whatever, I'll take an hour and 30 minutes, and then it's 2 hours and 40
right.
minutes.
I need to work out this chord
Yeah.
that I feel like should go here.
Right,
You
right.
can't do that.
yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
So stop working so hard, everybody.
yeah.
Just write 90-second songs.
Do what
in
we
40
do and
minutes.
say fuck it.
Yeah, there you go. Here's your song. Next.
I got a song for you. Come
There
here.
you go.
Come here. I got
There's
your
90
song right
seconds
here.
of magic right there.
Huge thank you to Sven.
Thank you,
Thank you
Sven.
so
Thank
much.
you, Sven.
Oh, thank you
Coming
very
to
much.
Chinchilla Studios.
Oh, I love talking about me. Anytime.
Letting us bask in your glow.
I'm basking in my own glow.
We're hoping for a Svenny Award.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
episode specifically.
This is the one. Should I work up some tears or something?
yeah,
Will
yeah.
that increase
It's
my
weird
odds?
to run against myself in the same category again.
Music on this episode brought to you by Sven-Erik Seaholm, Buddy Blue, Michael Tiernan, Jesse LaMonica, and Joshua Taylor.
My pants have been peed.